My mother-in-law told my 8-year-old that Santa isn't real and that I've been lying to her because she doesn't believe in childish fantasies. So I did this to her at Christmas dinner, then kicked her out of my house. Would I be the idiot for teaching my mother-in-law a lesson after she told my 8-year-old daughter Santa isn't real? Throwaway, BC, my sister-in-law knows my main. Sorry, this is going to be long. I, female, 34, have been married to my husband Colin, male, 36, for 11 years, and we have an 8-year-old daughter named Emma. Christmas has always been a huge deal in our house. Like, we go all out with decorations, traditions, the whole thing. Emma still 100% believed in Santa. Well, until this weekend. Writes him letters, we leave out cookies and milk on Christmas Eve, and Colin eats them and I drink the milk, lol. We do a special Christmas Eve box with new pajamas and hot chocolate. I'm not even super religious or anything, but I really wanted to keep Santa real for Emma's childhood, you know. My mother-in-law Darlene, female, 65, has never approved of basically anything I do as a parent. We've had issues since like day one of me and Colin getting married. She thinks kids should only be taught reality and facts and thinks anything imaginative is a waste of time. She's always making these little comments about how I'm raising Emma to be soft and unprepared for the real world. Like, sorry, I don't want my 8-year-old to be cynical and jaded already. I mean, let kids be kids, right? I know this sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I swear I'm not. She's actually like this all the time. Like, once she told Emma that unicorns are scientifically impossible when Emma was going through a unicorn phase. Who says that to a 6-year-old? One example that still makes me angry is when Emma was 4. Darlene literally threw away Emma's favorite stuffed unicorn when she was watching her one day because it was dirty and falling apart and full of germs. Emma had that unicorn since she was a baby and slept with it every night. She was absolutely devastated. We ended up finding a replacement, but it wasn't the same according to Emma. I still get mad thinking about it. Colin usually tries to play peacekeeper between us. Sometimes he defends me, but a lot of times he just asks me to let it go for family harmony or whatever. I get that she's his mom, but come on. It got even worse after Colin's dad passed away 3 years ago. Colin's become super protective of his mom despite how difficult she can be. I try to be understanding, I really do, but it's hard. Anyway, this past weekend I had to finish up some last-minute Christmas shopping. Colin had this important work meeting he couldn't miss. He literally never misses work stuff. It's annoying sometimes, to be honest. So we reluctantly asked Darlene to watch Emma for a few hours. I say reluctantly because, well, see above, but she lives close by and was available. So I get home from shopping, arms full of bags, and I walk in to find Emma crying on the couch. Like, not just a few tears, but full-on sobbing. She runs over to me saying Grandma told her I'd been lying to her. I think those were her exact words, but honestly, everything after that is kind of a blur because I was so shocked. I put down my bags and asked Darlene what happened, and she just says, completely matter of fact, that she told Emma Santa isn't real because she's too old for childish fantasies. I couldn't believe it. Like, who does that? I asked her why she would do that without discussing it with us first, and she just shrugged and said, Emma is too old for childish fantasies, and that someone had to tell her the truth eventually. She said it so casually, like she was telling me she gave Emma a snack or something. Emma is looking up at me asking if it's true that Santa isn't real. I'm trying to comfort her while being very angry at Darlene. And Darlene is just standing there, defending herself, saying she was doing Emma a favor and that someone had to tell her the truth. I asked Darlene to leave so I could talk to Emma alone. She left, but not before saying I was doing Emma a disservice by continuing the lie. I was so angry I could barely speak, like literally shaking. I tried my best to salvage Emma's belief by talking about the spirit of Christmas and how Santa represents generosity and magic, even if he's not exactly a real person flying around in a sleigh. But Emma was just so confused and upset. She kept asking if we'd been lying to her all this time and what else might not be real. I was trying not to cry myself. When Colin got home and I told him what happened, he was furious, which is rare for him, especially with his mom. He called Darlene right away, but she was completely unapologetic. She said Emma needed to grow up and that I was sheltering her from reality. Colin told her she was wrong to undermine our parenting decisions, but she just wouldn't back down. She kept saying someone had to tell her and that she was just being honest and other BS excuses. The problem is, Christmas is in 3 days, and Darlene is still invited to our Christmas dinner. Colin doesn't want to completely cut his mother off during the holidays, especially since this is only the third Christmas since his dad died. I understand that, but I'm still so angry. And now Emma keeps asking these sad questions about Santa and seems so disappointed about Christmas. I've been thinking about how to respond to this whole situation, and I've come up with a plan to teach Darlene a lesson at Christmas dinner. Without going into too many details, in case she somehow finds this post, it involves exposing her to some uncomfortable truths of her own and showing her what it feels like to have her own beliefs challenged. So, would I be the idiot if I go through with this plan? Am I overreacting about the Santa thing? Colin says he understands why I'm upset, but is worried my plan might make things worse. I just feel like Darlene needs to learn she can't undermine our parenting like this. I know I'm probably not handling this in the most mature way. I've never been great at confrontation, to be honest, but I'm just so tired of her always thinking she knows better than us about our child. And before anyone says, just cut her off completely, we've considered it, but Colin isn't ready for that, and I'm trying to respect that even though sometimes I really want to. Maybe I'm being petty, I don't know. But seeing how upset my daughter was keeps flashing in my mind, and I just can't let this go. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it has. Thank you for all the supportive comments. Edit 2. To answer some common questions. Yes, we've tried setting boundaries with Darlene before. She either ignores them completely or acts offended that we would dare to question her wisdom as an older parent. And yes, Colin has gotten better at standing up to her over the years, but he still struggles with the idea of creating permanent damage to their relationship. Edit 3. For those asking what my plan is, I don't want to share too many specifics in case Darlene somehow finds this post, but it involves pointing out some of her own contradictions and childish fantasies that she indulges in while claiming to be so practical and reality-based. Edit 4. Several people have asked why Colin won't just uninvite her for Christmas. Trust me, I've suggested this, but he feels really guilty about the idea of his mom being alone on Christmas so soon after his dad's death. I get it, I really do, but I'm still so mad. Edit 5. Oh my frickin' God, stop telling me to divorce my husband. He's actually a good partner most of the time and is on my side here. He's just struggling with the mom stuff. This is one post about one issue, not our entire marriage. Now for the first update. So, it's been a few days since my last post, and I just wanted to update everyone on what's been happening. First, thank you so much to everyone who commented and gave advice. I honestly didn't expect so many responses, and it really helped me feel less crazy about this whole situation. These past few days have been rough, to say the least. I've been trying everything I could think of, plus stuff you guys suggested, to help Emma process this whole Santa thing. I tried explaining how Santa exists in different ways for different people, and how some families have different traditions and beliefs, but she's still pretty subdued about the whole thing. She keeps asking these really uncomfortable questions like, is the tooth fairy real too? And what about the Easter bunny? And it just breaks my heart every time. Yesterday she asked me if monsters under the bed were real, and I was like, no, of course not. And then she gave me this look and said, how do I know you're not lying about that too? Like, ouch, that one hurt. Some context about Darlene. She grew up in this super strict household where basically anything fun was considered a waste of time. Her parents valued facts and reality above everything else. She's told us before that she never even got birthday parties as a kid because her parents thought they were frivolous. Who doesn't give their kid a birthday party? Seriously. Darlene worked as an accountant for 40 years before retiring, and she approaches everything in life with this cold, fact-based perspective. She doesn't even watch movies unless they're documentaries because fiction is a waste of time that could be spent learning real things. One time Emma wanted to watch Frozen with her, and Darlene spent the whole movie pointing out scientific inaccuracies about ice and snow. Emma was 6. Colin has had like 3 more conversations with his mom since my last post, and she's still completely defending what she did. She actually told Colin yesterday that I was being childish about the whole situation and needed to grow up. The irony of her saying I need to grow up while she's the one who can't respect other people's parenting choices. I can't even. Colin is really torn up about all of this. He's angry at his mom, but he's also worried about her spending Christmas alone. This is only the 3rd Christmas since his dad died, and I know that's weighing on him a lot. He told me last night that he feels like he's being forced to choose between his mom and his family, which made me feel kinda guilty even though I know this isn't my fault. So we came to a compromise. Darlene is still invited to Christmas dinner, but there will be very clear boundaries set, and I'm still going ahead with my plan to give her a taste of her own medicine. I've been gathering evidence of all of Darlene's own childish fantasies and hypocrisies. Like, she claims to be this super rational person, but she reads her horoscope every single morning. She's always talking about how she's a typical Virgo and how she shouldn't make decisions when Mercury is in retrograde or whatever. But apparently that's different from Santa somehow. She also spends like $200 a month on these fancy anti-aging creams, which, no judgment about wanting to look good, but she's constantly criticizing me for being vain when I get my hair done like twice a year. And she plays the lottery every week, despite lecturing Emma about how gambling is for people who don't understand math. The contradictions are just, ugh. I talked to Colin's sister Tammy yesterday, and apparently Darlene pulled something similar with Tammy's son like 5 years ago. She told him the tooth fairy wasn't real when he was only 7. Tammy was super upset about it at the time, but never really confronted Darlene directly, and now she regrets not standing up to her. So yesterday Darlene called to confirm what time she should arrive for dinner, and the conversation was awkward. I basically gave her the information in this really cold, formal tone, like, dinner will be served at 5, please arrive by 4:30, and she immediately asked if I was still upset about that Santa business. I told her we could discuss it tomorrow at dinner, and she sighed like I was being such an inconvenience and said I was being dramatic about a white lie. I couldn't help myself and pointed out that she was contradicting herself by calling it both a lie that I shouldn't tell and something I was overreacting about. Like, which is it, Darlene? Is lying to kids bad or not? She completely dismissed my point, of course, and changed the subject to how she's bringing her famous cranberry sauce that everyone loves. Nobody loves her cranberry sauce. It's literally the most disgusting thing ever. She puts celery in it for some reason. She ended the call saying, "I hope you've calmed down by tomorrow," in that condescending tone she always uses. Christmas morning was bittersweet. Emma was excited about her presents, but she kept looking at them with this skeptical expression. She kept asking questions like, "How did you get this? It was sold out everywhere," or "How did this get wrapped so perfectly?" And I could tell she was testing the Santa story. Colin noticed it too, and he's gotten a lot more supportive of my plan after seeing how much this has affected her. Darlene will be here in like 3 hours, and I'm nervous, but also really determined to go through with my plan. I've got everything prepared, collected all her contradictions, prepared what I'm going to say, the whole thing. Colin is nervous about the confrontation, but agrees something needs to be said. Is my approach too harsh? I don't know anymore. Part of me thinks I should just let it go for family harmony, but another part feels like if I don't stand up to her now, she'll just keep undermining our parenting forever. And seeing Emma's face this morning, I just can't let this go. Edit. So many people are asking about the cranberry sauce. Yes, she literally puts celery and also walnuts in it. It's this weird recipe from her mother that nobody has ever had the heart to tell her is disgusting. We all just take a tiny spoonful and then don't eat it. This has been going on for years. Edit 2. To the person who asked if Colin ever stands up to his mom, yes, sometimes, but it's complicated. After his dad died, she got really depressed, and he feels responsible for her happiness in a way. We've been in couples therapy about it. His idea, actually, not mine. And he's gotten better, but there's still this guilt there that's hard for him to overcome. Edit 3. Oh my frickin' God, stop telling me to put salt in her coffee or something petty like that. My plan isn't about being childish or mean. It's about showing her the hypocrisy of her actions in a way she might actually understand. Edit 4. For those asking why we don't just cut her off completely, we've talked about it, but Colin isn't ready for that step yet. And honestly, I don't think I want that either. Despite everything, she is Emma's only grandmother. My parents passed away when I was in college. I want her to be better, not gone completely. Maybe that's naive of me, I don't know. Edit 5. To address what many of you pointed out, yes, I realize my plan might make things temporarily worse, but at this point, I feel like we've tried the keep the peace approach for years and nothing has changed. Sometimes you have to be willing to deal with short-term discomfort for long-term improvement. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Now for the second update. So Christmas happened, and a lot went down. Sorry it took me a few days to update you guys, but honestly, I needed some time to process everything, and the aftermath has been complicated. Plus, we've been dealing with the post-Christmas chaos like everyone else, I guess. First, thank you so much to everyone who commented on my last posts. Your support and advice really helped me feel less crazy about this whole situation and gave me the courage to actually go through with my plan. Christmas morning started with mixed emotions. Emma was excited about her presents, but you could tell she was looking at everything differently. She kept examining the wrapping paper and gift tags with this skeptical look. She'd ask these really specific questions like, "How did you know exactly what I wanted?" And "How did this toy get here when the store was sold out?" And I could see her trying to work out the logistics of everything. Colin noticed it too, and seeing her like that made him even more supportive of my plan to confront his mom. I should probably give you guys more background on Darlene since a lot of you asked. This Santa thing was definitely not the first time she's undermined our parenting. Like, there was this time last year when Emma made this really colorful drawing of our family and was so proud of it. She gave it to Darlene, who literally said, "This isn't very anatomically correct, is it? The proportions are all wrong," to an 8-year-old. Emma was crushed, and Darlene suggested we shouldn't put it on the fridge because it would encourage mediocrity. We put it on the fridge anyway and made a big deal about how creative it was. Or when Emma wanted to quit ballet because she wasn't enjoying it, Darlene went on this whole rant about how quitters never succeed and told Emma she was making a huge mistake that would impact her future opportunities. Again, she was 8. And don't even get me started on the comments about Emma's appearance. Darlene is constantly saying things like, "Emma's getting a little round in the face, isn't she?" Or maybe Emma should get more exercise, which is so inappropriate. Emma's a perfectly healthy kid, and now she started asking if she looks fat, which makes me furious. Anyway, back to Christmas Day. Colin's sister Tammy, female 38, arrived around 2 p.m. with her husband Josh and their kids, 7 and 5, who still believe in Santa. I was honestly worried about Emma saying something to them about Santa not being real, but she was actually really sweet about it. I overheard her playing with them, and when they mentioned Santa, she just went along with it. That made me even more upset with Darlene for stealing this from her. I spent 3 days preparing all of Darlene's favorite foods, even though I was still so angry with her. Like, I made this super complicated traditional Christmas pudding from Colin's grandmother's recipe that takes forever and is a huge pain in the ass. I even made her stupid cranberry sauce with celery. Gag, because I wanted to show I was being nice. I was determined to make everything perfect so she couldn't criticize anything. Darlene arrived at exactly 4:30. She's always exactly on time. God forbid she's a minute early or late. The first thing she did was comment about how our decorations were extravagant and must have cost a fortune. No Merry Christmas or anything nice, just straight to criticism. Then she gave Emma her present, a really dense educational book about world geography. Emma smiled and said thank you because she's polite, but Darlene knows Emma loves fantasy books. I saw Emma's face fall when she opened it, and Darlene told her the book would be more useful for her education than made-up stories. I was so mad. Dinner started off really uncomfortable. Darlene kept making these little comments about how Emma seemed more mature this Christmas and how it's good for children to grow up and face reality. She wasn't even being subtle about it. Colin kept giving me these looks across the table like, "Please don't explode yet," and I was trying so hard to stay calm. I just kept serving the food and making conversation and smiling like everything was fine. But inside, I was counting down to dessert when my plan would finally happen. And then it was time. This is how it went down. I brought out dessert, this beautiful Christmas pudding I'd spent forever making, plus some cookies and ice cream for the kids. I served everyone at the table, except Darlene. Darlene noticed right away and asked if I'd forgotten her dessert. I smiled and told her I didn't think she'd want any since she doesn't believe in childish fantasies. The entire table went quiet. Tammy's eyes got huge and Colin was staring at his plate, but I could see him smiling a little. Darlene looked confused and asked what I was talking about. I explained that dessert is unnecessary, indulgent, and not based on nutritional reality, basically a fantasy by her standards. Then I added, "And we all know how you feel about fantasies." I brought out a gift box I'd wrapped nicely and put it in front of her, telling her it was her reality check gift. She looked confused but opened it. Inside were all the things I'd collected, printouts of her daily horoscope that she reads religiously, receipts from her anti-aging creams, and about 20 lottery tickets she'd bought over the past few months. I pointed to each item and asked why these made-up things were acceptable, but Santa wasn't. I mentioned how she reads her horoscope every morning even though astrology isn't scientific, spends hundreds on creams that promise impossible results, and plays the lottery despite the tiny chance of winning. Her face turned several shades of red, and she started saying this was completely different, and I was embarrassing myself. I stayed calm and told her that in our house, we decide what values and traditions to pass on to Emma, not her. And if she can't respect our parenting choices, she isn't welcome in our home. She looked at Colin for support, like she always does, but he backed me up completely. He told her I was right and that she owed Emma an apology. Then something unexpected happened. Tammy spoke up. She said Darlene had done the same thing to her son Tyler when he was 7, telling him the tooth fairy wasn't real. Tammy admitted she never said anything then, but should have. Darlene got defensive and asked if everyone was ganging up on her now, just for telling the truth. She started explaining how she was just trying to prepare Emma for the real world, and we were all being ridiculous. That's when I'd had enough. I told her that in the real world, actions have consequences, and the consequence of disrespecting our parenting was that she needed to leave our house. Colin stood up and told his mom she should go and they could talk tomorrow when she'd had time to think about how she treats our family. She was shocked. She tried to argue, but Colin just repeated that she needed to leave. She gathered her stuff and left, muttering about how ungrateful we all were. After she left, Emma gave me a huge hug and thanked me for standing up for her. I almost started crying right there. That moment confirmed I'd done the right thing. After Darlene left, we all finished our dessert in this weird mixture of awkward silence and relief. Tammy actually thanked me for saying what she'd wanted to say for years. The next day, Colin called his mom to explain that we weren't cutting her off permanently, but she needed to genuinely apologize and respect our boundaries if she wanted to be involved in our lives. She hung up on him. But then after like a week of no contact, she sent a really half-assed text message saying she was sorry for causing upset, but not actually acknowledging what she did wrong. Colin and I had a long talk with Emma about different families having different beliefs and traditions. We explained that we would always be honest with her about important things, but also valued imagination and joy. Emma was quiet for a while, then said maybe we should still leave cookies for Santa next year because it's fun, even if it's not real. So, I have mixed feelings about everything. I'm proud I stood up for Emma and our parenting choices, but sad that family relationships are still so strained. Darlene has tentatively agreed to join us for dinner next month to discuss things, but I'm not expecting any real change. Colin says she's never had anyone stand up to her like this before, so maybe there's hope. I don't know. Thanks again to everyone who gave me advice and support. Your comments really gave me the courage to follow through with my plan instead of just keeping quiet for family harmony like I've done so many times before. Edit. To everyone asking if I regret confronting her, no. Seeing Emma's face when she thanked me made it 100% worth it. Edit 2. Several people have asked about Colin's reaction afterwards. He was actually relieved once it was over. He said watching his mom walk all over us for years has been stressful for him too, but he didn't know how to stop it. We've been talking a lot more openly about his mom and our boundaries since this happened. Edit 3. For those suggesting family therapy with Darlene, we've actually suggested this before. She refused and said therapists are just people who get paid to tell you what you want to hear. Edit 4. To clarify about Emma, yes, she knows the truth about Santa now, but we've been focusing on the spirit of giving and the fun traditions rather than the literal belief. She seems to be handling it well now and has even started asking questions about how we've been playing Santa all these years. It's become a sort of behind-the-scenes thing. She feels grown up for knowing. Edit 5. Oh my frickin' god, I can't believe how many comments mentioned the cranberry sauce with celery. Apparently it's more common than I thought. But I promise you, the way Darlene makes it is still disgusting. She adds like a pound of walnuts too and barely any sugar.